And yo, we're back. The Sports Bag Bros podcast is back on this Thursday. As you know, this is our weekend. Going into a weekend, we're going to talk about those things that are important in the sports world. And right now, the NFL draft is about to start in April, but the combine comes first. A lot of talk, trades, this and that. Free agency is about to open up next month. Let's get into it.
Yeah, hang on. I got hold on, my phone's ringing, but I got something to address because we're not gonna talk baseball. So let me start it off with this. Fuck you, Jerry Reinsdorf. Fucking asshole. If you don't know who Jerry Reinsdorf is, he's the owner of the Chicago White
White
Sox and
Sox.
the Chicago Bulls. He did an interview. He's trying to get a new stadium built, which I can't fault him for that. But he wants all the money to come from the state of Illinois. But then in his interview, he blamed the fans for him not signing big time players. He actually said, quote, you will never sign anybody like Otani. No fucking shit. We already know that as White Sox fans. The biggest contract he's ever given out was like 75 million for, hold your breath now, Andrew Benintendi. That's the
Bro.
largest contract the White Sox have ever given out. So you're telling us you're not going after Otani? We know that shit already, asshole. We already know that. Here's the thing. White Sox fans, when the White Sox are good, they have a good product on the field, we go to the games, we show support. When they're losing 100 games like they did last year, you are not getting our money. And you want to
Yep.
blame us? You can't sign people because we don't go to the games? Put a better product on the field. Don't hire a fucking 90-year-old manager who falls asleep in the dugout and doesn't know the fucking rules. That's what happened when Tony La Russa came to town. We had all this talent. We suffered through the rebuild years. They had a hundred game losing season like in 18 or 19. I don't remember what. They were terrible for years during the rebuild. Then they got good. They fired Renteria. Okay, maybe he's not a World Series manager, but then you bring in Father Time to manage your team, and out of that rebuild with all that talent, they get one division title, and now they're rebuilding again.
About to
Tim
say
Anderson,
rebuilding again.
Tim Anderson, batting champion. He's not no longer with the team. Jose Abreu, the leader of the squad. They let him go last year. What are we doing here? And you want to blame the fans? Fuck out of here. We can talk
Well,
about Justin Fields now. I got
yeah,
it
we
off.
can talk about Justin Fields because we're sitting on Chicago right now. It's going into baseball season. Spring training has started. The Dodgers actually, I believe, won today, scoring 14 runs against the Padres, 14-1. The last time I saw it, if the game isn't over. But Chicago, we're talking about football now because the NFL, although it just ended, the Super Bowl was won by the Kansas City Chiefs. Repeating, going into the off season now, we're talking about the combine. The Senior Bowl was already played. And now we're going to talk about going into the draft afterwards. But then you get these subliminal messages that come about. You know, you and I talked about it during the season and even a little bit now, the regular season when it was over, about what's going to happen with Fields. And is it going to be the fans that's going to make a decision or help make the decision, or is the upper management going to do what they do, or even DJ Moore as a player who's a big piece of that puzzle? Is his voice going to be heard? He did say something before, as you said, he probably backed off a little bit from it,
He did.
but now we're talking. Justin Fields decides he wants to unfollow the Chicago Bears. You know, in today's age, this is what we're dealing with. Him unfollowing the Chicago Bears is as loud as doing absolutely nothing. So he's doing something right now by not following all the talk and then his reason behind it. I don't want to hear the negative talk of whether I'm going to be here, whether I'm not going to be here. Bro, I think that it's already done by now.
Right. He didn't have to unfollow if he didn't want to see stuff on his social media. Yo, don't
So,
log in. Put your
yep,
phone down.
yep.
Go on a vacation. Watch a movie. Do anything but look at your phone. You and tell your crew, hey, I don't want to hear none of that shit. Don't tell me nothing. That's all he had to do. But he knows exactly what he was doing. He did it purposely.
Yeah, he did it purposely because I think the writing is on the wall. Now you hear someone like Caleb Williams who says he doesn't want to come to Chicago. And in the beginning, it was, I don't want to come to Chicago because they already have a young quarterback and we're friends, this kind of thing. It's business. We know that. He doesn't want to go to Chicago. That's it. Whether it's he's saying it or his agency is saying it or someone's whispering in his ear talking about Chicago and their quarterback situation over decades, maybe that might be something that's making him say that or think that or put it out there. But there are other quarterbacks who may get that number one spot too. But as it seems right now, he seems to be the consensus number one guy. But Chicago, if they take him, well, he's going somewhere where he claims he doesn't want to go. And if he does go, does he pull an Eli Manning? Does he pull a John Elway and pretty much try to make them trade the pick? I think that could work in Baltimore, with John Elway. But I don't think that works in a city like Chicago, the third largest market in the country.
That remains to be seen. But he also backtracked off of his original comments as well. From what I recall, he came out with a list of 5 teams he wanted to play for. He wasn't interested in anyone else, and I think those 5 teams were probably playoff teams. So that's unrealistic in itself, right there. But then I'm pretty sure he backtracked off those original comments about the Chicago Bears, and I don't see them playing hardball that way, like you mentioned. Like Elway, he had the option to play baseball.
Baseball, yep.
Eli Manning, but he had the Manning name.
I was at that draft too, and it was just all in on him.
He had the clout, right?
Yeah.
Williams, he had the amazing season last season, but this year he's not the Heisman Trophy winner. So maybe if he had 2 Heismans in his back pocket, maybe he would have more clout, more leverage, but I don't see it.
The way he's been talking, it seems as if he does have 2 Heismans. I mean, if this was his publicist or really him saying these things, this is what we heard. And now if he does back off on it, well, what choice does he really have? Because if Chicago wants to make the pick, they're going to make the pick. All he's going to do is make himself look even worse if he doesn't sign the contract, or if he drags it out and makes an issue out of it more than it should become. At the same time, do you really pick a player who comes publicly and says that he doesn't want to play for your team? Now, that's something Chicago has to look at. And by the way, as you and I had said, I don't know if he really is the unanimous number one quarterback in this draft coming up anyway. I mean, you do have Jalen Daniels who could come in and see what he does. I mean, coming from LSU. Now, is he a number one pick overall value pick? I don't think so, but in the top 5, I think he's good. But at the same time, you can trade that number one pick, help build this team, and still get a quarterback if you wanted one.
Right. I saw sometime last week one of the analysts on ESPN. He's pro Caleb Williams, talking, that generational talent stuff, and he says, I
don't see it.
Oh, no, I don't see it either. But he said he called him a generational talent, but then proceeded to say he has to clean up his turnovers. And there was something else. I can't remember what it was. I think I tweeted it. But if you got to clean up your turnovers and you got to clean up this, you have to improve on that. How are you a generational talent? I mean, you call him a generational talent, and then you proceed to talk about negatives, not positives. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it.
Sometimes these people want to talk just for the sake of talking. And when you look at the other quarterbacks there, I guess it's really a 3-man race. When you look at what LSU brings with Daniels and you look at Drake May, I don't think he's a number one pick overall. I think he's good if you take him in the top 10. And this is based off of him having a good redshirt freshman year. And then coming out this past year, not playing as well. The talent's there. But I think that the top 10 would be a good value pick for him. I think the X factor here in terms of really getting a solid quarterback and being able to trade that number one pick, help build your team, still probably getting like Marvin Harrison Jr. maybe, is Michael Penix. Because I believe late in the first round, he may be good, because when it comes down and things unfold, I think it's going to come down to him not playing as well as he played in Indiana, then coming to Washington. Only that one season at Washington playing well, and then the injury factor is going to be something that people are going to start to look at. The draft, the combine and the draft is when they start to poke and prod and all of a sudden start second-guessing themselves after looking at you all this time and saying how great you are.
Yeah, and I just remember what the other issue was. They said he holds on to the ball too long and takes too many sacks. We already had that problem in Chicago with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Are you serious? If that's one of his problems, why do we want Caleb Williams if he takes too many sacks? That's what Justin Fields does. We already have that issue. We may as well just keep Justin Fields.
And not to mention starting all over again, because when you do bring in this rookie quarterback, it starts all over. You know, Justin Fields would be going to his fourth season if he goes into the season with the Chicago Bears or anyone else. This will be his fourth season. And typically, I think 3 seasons is what they really look at with a quarterback, depending on where they get you, where they want to decide in that third year, going into that fourth year, is this the guy that's going to help our franchise moving forward as a franchise quarterback, or just a very good quarterback, or is he serviceable, or just not it at all? I think right now they're coming to the conclusion that, at least for what they want to do, and what's there for them, Justin Fields may not be that guy. But anyone you bring in is starting from scratch again. And I know it puts the pressure on whoever comes in, and it also puts the pressure on even Justin Fields that CJ Stroud had the season he had last year as a rookie, because in his rookie year, he's already outshined Justin Fields' whole career. Right. You know, you're just hoping it continues if you're a Houston fan.
Right. So as far as Justin, you know this, I've been done with him for quite a while. And the reason is, when the Bears need a score late in the game, go down and win it, too many times he's either been strip sacked, he's thrown an interception, or he's fumbled. I can understand a young quarterback throwing a couple interceptions. I can understand a strip sack because you don't see the guy. But when you throw in the fumbles and all of it together, in his career, he's rushed for 14 touchdowns and he has 18 fumbles. Man. He's never thrown for 3,000 yards, I don't believe. And you got guys throwing up 4,500 yards now.
Yeah.
And how long are his legs going to last? How long is it before he loses a step at speed?
And he's already getting injured too. He's
Yeah.
already getting injured now too. He's been getting injured from the very beginning. He hasn't had a whole season in which he's played so far in the 3 years he's been there. And these running quarterbacks, even Lamar Jackson had to learn about all that running, regardless of how spectacular he was as a running quarterback. And now he's learning, or has found out that, you know what, there's more to it than that. And now he's doing it, but it's at a time where his speed isn't elite anymore anyway. We saw that this past playoffs. His speed isn't there. He can't take it to the house like he used to.
Right. That was shocking to see too, when he busted through on that 4th and 1.
Yeah.
And he tried to slow down and do a juke move instead of turning on the jets and going to the house. I guess he don't have the jets.
No, he doesn't have the jets anymore. Those leg injuries, those shoulder injuries, those body injuries, period. Those things slow you down. But Justin Fields, man, you know, it's not even a matter of even inconsistency. It's just him being pretty bad for a while.
Yeah, we had big expectations, high hopes coming in, as I say, we as Bears fans.
Yeah.
Coming into this season. First game of the season, absolute trash against the Packers. Second game of the season, trash. And then he got injured. And Bajan came in, and he didn't light it up, but you can see the difference. He has a better understanding of where the defense is going to be. Yeah, where his players are going to be. He gets a snap, and he gets rid of the ball. And he doesn't have the strongest arm, but he didn't take all the sacks that Justin takes. So we saw what a quarterback should look like. I mean, as far as decision making, even though he didn't have the talent to make all the throws.
Yeah.
When Justin came back, he was better than he had been, but he beat – who'd he beat? I can't even think of the teams he beat. They weren't very good. They got one win against the Lions. But when they played a good defense against the Browns, that offense did absolutely nothing.
Shut it down.
Nothing. And I said, going into that game, I said, you know what? My mind's made up on Justin. But if he wants to change my mind, he needs to have a good game today, throwing the ball. And he did it. So he didn't change my mind.
And I can see why Bears fans thought the way they did about him coming out of Ohio State. If you saw those ridiculous numbers he put up at Ohio State, I mean, single digits in interceptions, over 40 touchdowns. this looked like a video game what he was doing out there. And that's when he came in, and what Lamar Jackson had done, there was a reason why the comparisons were there with Lamar Jackson. He didn't have that ridiculous speed that Lamar Jackson had, but you thought he was much better a passer than Lamar Jackson was coming out of college. You know, Lamar Jackson in his last college game was here in Jacksonville at the Gator Bowl, and I guess against Mississippi State. He threw like 3 or 4 interceptions. And I was like, man, that's a bad way to go to the NFL if he does go. I was hoping that he came back. Well, he doesn't come back, goes in the first round as he did, and has the career that he has. So it isn't always about, wow, he had an excellent college career overall, but man, he started looking bad at the end, and it may just transition over to the NFL. Well, not in his case, but in Justin Fields' case, he had a better numbers-wise, especially in his final season with Ohio State, comes to the Bears and hasn't really done anything. I don't even say inconsistency because that means he's good then bad, good then bad. Well, he's just been pretty damn bad, and if you just sprinkle good in there, that's not enough to make it consistent or inconsistent. It just makes it bad, just not as bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. And actually, him coming into the NFL, he wasn't known as a runner. We didn't find out he could run until he was getting chased all over the place. And then we were like, wow, he's a great runner. But that's really not what you want from your quarterback.
Well, we're seeing that more and more. I mean, he's more of a Randall Cunningham kind of runner, whereas Lamar Jackson just has flat jets that no one else has. I mean, he's more of the Michael Vick type that actually reads defenses better than Michael Vick, at least right now, his career. I remember Justin Fields because of the high school playing here in the Southeast. He was in Georgia high school. I went to his high school playoff game in which he did not play in because I think he had an injured hand. But then I've seen games of his where he does use his legs a bit, but he was so much better than everyone else. He can just get the ball to where he needed it to go. He didn't want to wait in Georgia, I think because of Jake Fromm. He goes to Ohio State, and hey, he runs sometimes, but that 40-plus touchdowns means he was throwing it a hell of a lot. And I expected a little bit more passing, more like Jalen Hurts, a better passer than Jalen Hurts when he gets to the NFL. I thought Jalen Hurts would do more running, whereas Fields is doing more running now for Chicago, and it's just not working for him. Is this the scenario that you look at with what San Francisco had done with Trey Lance going down now to the Dallas Cowboys, and now Justin Fields, well, probably now going to get traded somewhere else?
It looks that way. You think about the teams who would be in position to trade for him. I think it's limited. Maybe Steelers, maybe Raiders, maybe Falcons. There's just not a whole lot of teams. And you talk about the Falcons, they have the 8th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
They're not going to give up number 8. I don't believe they will.
They don't need to because James may be there.
If they offer it, if they offer the number 8 for Fields, the Bears better take it. Raiders 13, that's a little high too. Steelers, what are they, like 19, 20?
Haven't even looked at the order yet.
But I want to address your boy Bart Scott too.
Bart Scott, we talked about this guy before.
He consistently throws shade at Brock Purdy. Okay, I understand you don't think he's elite, but his comments on Justin Fields makes no sense. They make no sense because now I think he has an agenda also.
The tribe continues. Tribe call quest.
In regards to Justin Fields, he wants him traded, go somewhere where he can have a great career and go to the Hall of Fame. He actually said Hall of Fame in the same sentence with Justin Fields. Hold up. Time out, bro. Time out. Brock Purdy, you may not think he's elite, but in 2 seasons, he's gotten to the NFC Championship. He's gotten to the Super Bowl. And he's not on the path to Canton. You're going to throw shade and throw hate, and he's not this and not that. He's not on the path to come on. If he's not on the path, he's like 100 miles ahead of Justin Fields, though. Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Well, there they go again. Let them speak long enough and you'll see what their real agenda is. And these are the people who don't like certain quarterbacks for whatever reason. And right now, I'm starting to wonder, why isn't Brock Purdy elite? Why? Because he's a former Mr. Irrelevant? I think that's the only way, the only reason you could come up with something like that. He does have the weapons, and there are other players around him, but every quarterback we've looked at in the past that was considered a good or even potential great quarterback had to have players. No one really did it by themselves. If you want to talk about someone who might have done it without really, really elite players, it was probably Tom Brady. The receivers he won with. You know, a guy like Deion Branch winning the MVP of a Super Bowl, and then the year he has someone like Randy Moss, he doesn't win anything. I mean, they have put up a good season, but ultimately it comes down to winning championships. They didn't win a championship with Randy freaking Moss, but they went with David Givens and guys like that. David Patton, you know.
And when you think about it, Steve Young in Tampa, he wasn't all that good.
No, he wasn't.
He got to San Francisco and he became great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it comes down to. Players, it's a team sport anyway. And we do know the quarterback is the joystick that kind of makes everything work. But Brock Purdy's in that situation now. Don't criticize him because he has people who can actually catch the ball. Now, some of them may be unreliable, like Deebo Samuel getting injured. I'm not going to say Christian McCaffrey, even though he has an injury history. He was pretty good this year, but in George Kittle, they hardly used him. So he was still making plays anyway as a quarterback. So what's the difference between him at least being on the projection or the trajectory to becoming great because he's already good? So anyone talking this game management nonsense when he has over 30 touchdowns, and then you look at what he's done, period, the way he commands a game when he has to, he's driven his team down to a touchdown. And even in this last Super Bowl, he drove his team down. They just couldn't stop any damn body.
Yeah, I don't get the hate for Brock Purdy. I don't understand it, especially when it's coming from one guy who's hating on him and then says Justin Fields is going to be a Hall of Famer if he goes somewhere else. That makes no sense. But I'd hate to see it. I'd be like, damn, that would just be more confirmation that the Bears have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's probably true. Because I think
an argument can be made. Justin Fields never really had a chance. The Bears ruined him. You talk about the different coaches, learning the new offenses, the game against the Browns, he got sacked 7 or 8 times. I mean, that weighs heavily on the guy's psyche, man.
Yeah. So what about Rex Grossman? What was the problem there? Being in Chicago or just not really living up to expectations or what? Not surrounding him with the right players, so that's still the team?
I just don't think Rex was all that good.
I mean, they got to a Super Bowl with him.
They did. I not in that Super Bowl. I don't know what happened. He couldn't.
I guess.
He couldn't even hold on to the snaps. He had 2 fumbled snaps. He threw a pick 6. Oh, that was a rough game, man.
But it's fair to say
it was all downhill, huh?
It's fair to say Jay Cutler was probably the best quarterback they've had in recent memory. And what was the difference between him being good there and he was pretty good in Denver?
Yeah, I don't know. And they gave him weapons. We had Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall one year.
Yeah, bro, for real.
Man, we weren't used to that in Chicago. 2 badass receivers and a quarterback who could get them the ball. But then Brandon, he had his issues. They let him go. They traded Alshon Jeffrey. He wins the Super Bowl with the Eagles. And same old Bears, man. Same old Bears.
Yeah, so there is some argument that it may be a bad fit with the Chicago Bears, not just for him, but almost seeming like any other quarterback who goes there. But I still think that Justin Fields does have talent, man. I mean, I go by the eyeball test. College and pros are different, but you can kind of see somewhat of a possible transition from the college to pro game when you look at some of these players. You're not going to be right 100% of the time. It's not a science. I mean, seriously, it's not an exact science to picking these players because, well, C.J. Stroud would have been the number 1 pick overall if that was the case. They wouldn't have worried about his test, that S2 test, whatever the hell he had to take, and look at that as the reason why he didn't go number 1 overall. The bottom line is I think Justin Fields has something to offer. He has to get into the right team. I'm thinking a team like probably Seattle might be a team they can make a trade with. They already got to kind of set up a little bit with their what's his name? Oh man, kind of drawing a blank now with the quarterback they have now.
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. They have Geno Smith. So having that running element and some passing involved, that's already on the walls there. Now Pete Carroll's not there, but I think that would be a nice spot for him as well.
It could be. And the combine's next week.
The combine's next week. Yep.
So I heard that's usually when trades go down. So we could know something by like Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah,
because this is like now that it's coming out, it's the biggest news right now until things kind of start getting a little bigger. And then you have the Mac Jones deal that's going up in New England, whether or not he's going to be there. With Jared Mayo now the new head coach. He wants a quarterback that's going to be tough. He wants a quarterback who's going to be smart. Kind of the things you hear all the time about a quarterback. Well, you know what you have with Mac Jones. He did have a good rookie year, but things just fell apart after that. Is it because of Bill Belichick and things changing all the time, or is it he really just had it as an NFL quarterback and hit his ceiling and he's a journeyman?
Who is he throwing to also?
Well, that too.
That's
I'm still thinking he got something left.
Who's running that offense?
Well, now they have a new offensive coordinator.
Right, but I'm saying, okay, prior to the upcoming season.
Yeah, anybody who decides they want to run I guess Bill Belichick is defensive-minded coach giving orders to the offensive coordinator. I'm just thinking that Mac Jones does have something left, and I think that he will get traded. They're picking too early, first of all. They only won 4 games last season. Too many, at least decent quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks in that New England mold. But is that New England mold more of what Bill Belichick made it over the last several years? Is this their new mold of quarterback you would want there? Drake May seems to be the guy that fits right there if they're going to take a quarterback.
That seems true, yeah. But going back to the Bears, Fields has 1 more year on his contract.
Yeah.
I would trade down maybe to the Patriots or the Commanders. Trade down. I say the Patriots. That way, the first 2 teams ahead of the Bears are taking quarterbacks, and then you're taking the third one. They take the choice away from you, so you can't mess it up. You may be trading down is messing it up, but I don't trust the Bears to pick the right guy.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying messing it up. Well, hell, they'll do it on their own with all quarterbacks.
Right, but I'm saying, well, at least if you trade down, you get more picks. You can build up your roster, and
that's what I'm thinking.
It might kind of mask some of your quarterback deficiencies. But if you trade down and you still take a quarterback, nothing says you have to trade Justin Fields.
And that's true. You don't.
If he comes out and he's playing like gangbusters, all right, he's our quarterback. And then you trade your rookie.
Well, yeah, it could be a situation like they had out in San Diego when they had Philip Rivers and Drew Brees.
Yeah, or vice versa. Justin, you're not getting it done. Go ride the bench. We're gonna go with the rook.
Man, but I think that quarterback room is gonna be a pain in the ass. I mean, seriously. And, I know and they're young quarterbacks, man. So that competitiveness, and then maybe something even more than the competitiveness that kind of makes it a little toxic in that room, man. These are the kids we're talking about now that are different than the dudes from yesteryear. These social media kind of guys, but I think they think differently. I mean, going by the way, even him, Justin Fields deciding to get off of social media, not follow the biz, that kind of thing. I mean, it wasn't available back in the day, so you never knew what a quarterback was thinking or a player was thinking. Now just by actions of doing something like that. Oh, wow, it made big news. He shut off he's not following the Bears. That's big news, and it's now he's getting questioned by it, and he's acting like, why should I get questioned about not following the Bears? I'm just tired of everything else. No, you're upset like they're probably upset with the way you've been playing all these years.
I think the whole thing's pretty silly because if I'm on the team, why do I have to follow them? I already know what's going on.
It seems like it's some subliminal thing that we're all together. We're all in this together thing. And then as soon as you get in your little issues or getting your feelings, and then you come off, and then everybody who's watched you, they notice that you're not there, and they make news out of it like it is right now.
Like if I have to answer, like, hey, you didn't like our post or you didn't comment on our photo, I'm like, and I was in the fucking photo.
For real, right? Man, but yep, that's what we have right now. I mean, the draft is going to come up in April, but we have right now the combine coming up. I used to be always on top of this, man. I went through several drafts in a row. I've gone to the combine before. I'm just not into it like I used to be into it, man. Anything that had to do with a combine or any of that draft, man, I was on top of it. I knew the right people to get some inside information. It's just not like that anymore. I mean, I just see the players as I see them. You get excited about some players, and this year kind of made you a little bit more exciting because, Michael Penix having the year that he had. And then, Drake May, somebody I went into the season really looking at saying, man, this dude's going to be something special. And then he kind of takes some backward steps. And then you have, Caleb Williams, who I was never really huge on, but I didn't think he was bad. I thought he wasn't as good as you thought. And some think he's just a generational talent. I think he's a good talent. I mean, there's a difference, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But CJ Stroud,
I don't see him head and shoulders above the rest of the quarterback crop, though.
You know what?
Plus, you throw in his diva-like behavior.
That right there.
I don't want nothing to do with him.
That right there. See, that's the deal. I get emotional with that kind of thing. I couldn't be in upper management because when you start becoming a diva, the emotions get them like, yo, screw you, man. Go. I don't care how talented you are, man. Get out of here. But
like I was commenting on the Justin Fields situation on Facebook. I think on the NFL is Life page, and someone was questioning me. Well, why do you feel like that? And I started explaining to them. And damn, I lost my train of thought. What were you talking about?
You explaining about what? Caleb Williams?
Yeah. That's what I said. He asked me, why do you not like Caleb Williams? I said, I think he's a diva. He says, well, Aaron Rodgers is a diva. And I replied, well, Aaron Rodgers didn't come into the league as a diva.
He didn't.
He turned into a diva.
Exactly.
After years and years. Yeah. And he's like, that's just silly. Well, what's fucking silly about it? One is acting like a diva in college. The other one came in quiet, sat the bench for like 2 or 3 years, and eventually became a diva. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers was raw in college. I remember when USC had that generational team, probably one of the greatest college football teams, along with that Miami 2001 team. They were huge. They were a dynamic team. And even though Aaron Rodgers had like a completion percentage of over 80% against them and still lost the game, but he was the only bright spot. He hardly made any mistakes passing that ball all day, but USC was just that good everywhere. And that's the only reason why they lost. And I remember him going into the draft that year. I went to that draft. They had that luncheon at Chelsea's Pier. I spoke with him. I'm like, you know what? You might even go number 1 overall tomorrow because they have it on Friday. Well, Alex Smith was expected to go number 1. And he did. So I kind of ducked and dodged a little bit after that. But after all these years, hey, guess what? I'm right. You're better than Alex Smith. That's saying a whole damn lot. But he wasn't a diva then. Speaking to him, and I know they speak to the media a different way than they would speak to their people that they know. But he didn't come across. You didn't get those kind of vibes. Now, your boy Cedric Benson, he got vibes. When I met him, when the Bears took him, this dude did not want to go. And I don't take pictures at all. But my friend was like, yo, take a picture with him. I took a picture with him, and you talk about the gas face. That dude, my man had the gas face. Like, yo, bro, I don't want to even be here, man. I'm like, yo, spoke to him a little bit on the outside, behind the cameras. He didn't say he didn't want to be there, but that guy was just honorary, man. I was like, damn, it's not gonna work.
He kind of played like he didn't want to be here.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. The way his vibe just came out, like, I don't want to be here, guy. I'm like, man, I thought your dream would just be able to go to the NFL, man, not a particular team. I mean, Chicago, bro, this is Walter Payton's hometown, man. Oh, not hometown, but home team. They can make something out of a running back.
I think he had 2 good years. The Super Bowl year when they lost to the Colts, and he got hit by Bob Sanders and fumbled. I was like, oh, just when you thought he turned the corner, he turns the ball over. So, I was never a Benson fan.
Yeah, and man, and he passed away, obviously, since.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that motorcycle accident about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh man,
that's man, it's crazy. Yeah, that's what I thought about that when I saw the news. Last thing I thought about, first thing I thought about was, man, you remember a lot of these guys along the way, and either whether they played or if you had an engagement with them or something, that came up. But anyways, we'll get a lot of football talk out of here because the NFL doesn't seem to go away. America's passion seems like it's 24/7 now, and with the NFL Network, it is 24/7. And with the combine and then draft, it's going to be even more in detail than all these different trades. And then free agency next month is coming up. Well, college football has to be played too. Spring practice for college football starts next month. But now we're talking about the 12-team playoff format for 2024. What is it all about, man?
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. 5 conference championships or five conference champions get in automatically
Is it 4 or
And
5?
then,
Because I know the Pac-12 has been dissolved.
yeah, so maybe it's 4,
Yeah, I think
and
it's 4.
then 7 at large.
Mm-hmm.
And it said the next 7 highest ranked. And I saw an image on ESPN, and it had like 3 or 4 bullet points, and I was like, I call bullshit. I call bullshit because there's a bullet point missing. The one that states, we reserve the right to fuck you out of the playoff if your quarterback
Oh,
gets
we haven't
hurt,
seen that
even though
before.
you're undefeated. Huh?
Yeah, we haven't seen that before. Come on, man. Florida State's still pissed off about that, man. Get out of here with that.
Right.
But who gets screwed in this one? Is it Notre Dame?
Dame.
Yeah. And as a Notre Dame hater since Catholics and convicts, I agree. And I like it. So what? Shoot me.
Well, we talked about it before, like with these super conferences and everything. I said Notre Dame has a chance to be left out in the cold, and here's the playoff, and the parameters they set to get into the playoffs, they're not in a conference, so
it's going to make them more difficult to get in, and they have to play a landmine of a schedule in order to get in, to get to the championship game. I think 4 games? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, here I'll give you a little ammunition. You probably like. I can't remember who was saying it, but they were talking about how Notre Dame. Well, I know Stephen A. said they haven't won since 1988. They're irrelevant.
Correct.
He's going off. But somebody says they're talking about the NBC contract, and like, why does NBC give them all that money? Does anybody really want to see them play Purdue, play Air Force? They're talking about their strength of schedule. They play all the military branches for the most part.
They're going to play Army again, yeah.
So if they talk about strength of schedule, they got no gripes, man.
I think this pressures them to finally commit football-wise to a conference. See, they don't want to give up that NBC money. And in the beginning, when they did sign with NBC, it was an unprecedented contract for a football team, so it was so much money back then. Now, the SEC network, the Big Ten network, and now the ESPN affiliation and the CBS affiliation with the Big Ten now, all of that money dwarfs what they're getting. You know what I mean? So I think it probably is in their best interest to join a conference now. Now, they might want some special benefits for joining someone's conference as if they really matter as much as they did back in 88, and they don't. So there's going to be some negotiations going on, if anything at all. But the way it looks like it's turning out, they're in basketball, they work the ACC. In football, they're independent. So if they go to the ACC football-wise, I'm not even sure the ACC is going to be around long. I think it's only going to be the Big Ten and the SEC when it's all said and done, with a whole bunch of teams who don't belong there in those conferences. Kind of like the Pac-12 teams who are now in the Big Ten in the Midwest. And now you're going to have Southern teams, probably like Florida State wanted to go to the Big Ten. It made no sense, but no one cares about cents. It's dollars and cents.
That's the bottom line. And we talked about it back then. I feel it's going the way of possibly 2 different leagues.
Yeah.
And then the champions from
one
those
super
leagues.
Conference.
Yeah.
Split it in half, one super conference. Whoever wins on one side and the other side, they play one another in the championship game. But now you look at, this is something that could have been done, in my opinion, years ago in terms of coming with any kind of format for a playoff. The reason why every other division has done it for all these years and there's never really been issues. Well, call the issue what it really is. Talk about how much you want to maximize making the money you want to make with the bowls and all of these other special sponsors and everything that come and loads it up. Say that instead of acting like the integrity of college football is at stake, or you really care about these alleged student athletes. Stop with the nonsense, because the same classes that those Division II, Division I AA, Division III players take, which probably even more challenging than the classes that most Division I players take, they were able to do it, and it seemed flawless all this time. They want to fit the right people into the right bowl games to maximize the amount of money they're going to make. Now with this playoff scenario, with 12 teams and trying to bring it to 14 teams, I think in 2026, that's what it comes down to. The number 1 seed is going to have a bye week, they say. And all there's going to be, I think, home field advantages for other teams. And then I think the second round is when the bowls are going to be involved. And then the ultimate bowls, where the teams participate in those bowls. No one's going to have home field advantage. It's still going to be a neutral site, and there's still money made. Why could they come to this conclusion so many years ago?
One thing that concerns me is college teams used to play 11, 12 games, 13.
Yeah.
Was the max.
Now 15 and 16.
Exactly. They're playing like NFL schedules now. Yeah. And you mentioned student athlete. Did you catch Jay Billis's comments?
No, I had not.
And he says with NIL, he's like, they're not. It's a business. They are no longer student athletes.
Who said that? This is glorified free agency in college. That's what it is. Yeah. And it's trickling down to high school.
He suggested that they are employees and they should sign contracts.
But then you have to have a union.
Exactly.
And that's where it gets a lot more sticky.
And you see EA Sports coming back with the NCAA game.
Allegedly this summer.
I saw they're going to offer $600 to everybody for the $600. That's great for the third string center, second string center, and guard. But I don't know, Heisman Trophy candidates. What are they going to do with $600? They're burned out. But I'm glad to see it. I love playing that game. I love college football more than Madden.
Bro, that's always been the case with me when it came to college football and video games. Now, as far as college football goes, if you don't use the names but you use numbers and you know the abilities of that player is a replicate of what the player is supposed to be. It's like I know 15 in college football years ago was a Tim Tebow on that Florida team. You know who it is, but you don't have to have the name, and he has all the attributes. He's a powerful guy, and this and that or the other. Now, does that entitle that player to the money because his name's not being used?
I would say so. It's the likeness.
Yeah, the likeness.
I mean, unless they make like black players white and white players black, and you got the numbers, you got the attributes, but that's not you.
Yo, bro. Yeah, white Caleb
Williams. Image on the game and look in the mirror, brother. That's not you.
White Caleb Williams is going back. He's looking black Deion Sanders on the side of that Buffalo lineup. He's upset. Yeah, man. See, when it comes down to image, you would think image would be the face, but if they're not using a face, they just have some obscure.
I think that's why it's likeness. I think that's why it's likeness.
Likeness, yeah.
Like if somebody used a bootleg Jordan logo, you could tell it's not really Jordan, but it's like Jordan.
That's close to it, but not. Man,
that's the likeness.
You know what? It might fall under that after all. But man, I'm just wondering how they're gonna get past it with that, because now you're looking at the real business part of it. Before they were able to monopolize and throw their games out there and make all the money, no one got paid but them. And was it O'Bannon brothers? Well,
Ed O'Bannon and
Ed O'Bannon. He was the one who was
kind of more Ed.
Yeah. Ed O'Bannon led this. He's the one who kind of led this years ago. Coming out of UCLA and then playing for. I think he played for the Mets afterwards.
You think about it. He played, I think, in the 90s.
Yeah, he did. He was on that UCLA team that freaking lost to Princeton, wasn't he? Or did he? No, they won the championship. They lost.
I don't know if he was on that team, but
he left. Toby Henderson was on that team, and they lost that to Princeton in the fifth round, fifth seed. Lost.
Toby Bailey.
I said Henderson. Toby Bailey. Toby Bailey. Yeah, Toby Henderson. Where the hell I come from with that? But anyway, UCLA. Yeah, man. But he was on that team that lost to that Princeton squad. But anyways, man, now, man, it's going to be difficult to even come up with a video game because people have to get compensated. And under these circumstances, I'm all for the players getting compensated if that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. And now Nick Saban's coming to the forefront. Now that he's retired and now just a commentator, he's talking about this isn't college football anymore. You know what? It's kind of like not even semi-pro. They're pro. I don't remember semi-pro players getting paid this much. Never saw a semi-pro player in the Heisman House. Hell.
Greeny made a great point though. He says he says miss me with all that talk. I don't want to hear it because last year, I think he said 30 or 31 coaches got hired for football head coaching positions.
Yep.
And there's only one still in that position because all the rest either got fired or left for better opportunities. So why is it okay for the coaches but not the players.
I've said that a whole bunch of times. How come these coaches can lie to these kids in their living rooms, lie to their parents in their living rooms, saying how they're going to be there for this long, and next thing you know, that player commits. Next thing you know, a new coaching staff is coming in because that present coach is gone, and now this guy may not fit into that system, or most coaches want their guys anyway. If they're not going to treat you like you were treated in the beginning, things go downhill from there. And then you look at someone like Jimbo Fisher, $77 million now just to hang out at home, because Texas A&M was able to do that. But still, I mean, this is what you're talking about. This is the kind of money these people are getting, and they're telling you need to stay. And you wonder why over 2,000 people were in the transfer portal, and now some more are going to go in there after spring practice.
Why do you think it's mostly football, though, and not so much basketball?
Yeah, I thought it would be basketball because there's fewer players, you could pay them more, but it hasn't turned out that way. I was thinking that, you know what, with St. John's having this resurgence and Rick Pitino being in, which ended up being a counter resurgence for right now, but with Rick Pitino being there, I'm thinking, hey, put one of these St. John's players in the middle of Times Square. That's money right there, man. I thought that would be how it turned out. Nothing like it. I was always wondering, how could someone in Tuscaloosa get more money than someone in the tri-state area of New York, of Jersey, Connecticut, and New York? He doesn't have to. That dominant team in Alabama is the reason why people are going to watch or know who that player is, but a Syracuse player somewhere in New York, it just hasn't worked out that way. Football is absolutely dominating every part of it. And then, since we're on college football, Shedeur Sanders saying that he's definitely the best quarterback in college football. Negative. Not even next season. He never has been. You just happen to be on a team that your father's the coach of. He makes you throw and gives you every opportunity to throw, regardless of how much you're getting wrecked. He lets you continue to throw, and you make completions, and sometimes you don't. A lot of times you don't, and then you get these little dump passes where guys take it to the house. Bro, you just haven't been overly impressive once everything focused on you trying to get the job done. That's how you end up with the record that you had, 4 wins. Bro, come on. Speak for itself.
But you got to admit, though, their offensive line was atrocious.
And that's true. But the offensive line was atrocious. But I think even behind that terrible offensive line, I think it accentuates how much his father still allowed him to sit back there and risk life and limb still throwing when they're behind.
Yeah.
Just for stats purposes. So he could say, see, my son should be in the Heisman race, because that's what he was saying. Would you have done that with somebody else's kid? I doubt it. But anyways, yeah, for him to and there's obviously when you say that kind of thing, there's some scout out there that's saying otherwise, and it's an anonymous scout. And I'd rather it be anonymous, at least right now. And then he's saying, "Come on, this kid's delusional," and I think he is. I think you're pretty much the same QB you were at Jackson State, the same one who could not beat North Carolina Central.
Well, that remains to be seen. I know he was working with Tom Brady last year.
Yeah. And, he has the best of the best.
He has advantages that other quarterbacks
don't. That's
the
absolute truth.
So he has every opportunity to be the best quarterback. He just has to go out and make it happen.
And this was the result.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah, and this is the result of him having all of that tutelage and opportunity. What he had done last season, it looked good in the beginning. And then as those teams continue to play, especially when you look at what TCU ended up doing, they weren't very good. When they played Oregon, we saw exactly what we saw. And I thought it was a little better against USC, but USC turned out to be nothing. I mean, Caleb Williams was the story, but their team overall wasn't anything special. So, I mean, it's not even throwing shade. It's telling you exactly what happened as the season went on. He didn't look impressive at all as they continued to play even bad teams like Colorado State.
Yeah, it started snowballing downhill. And
exactly, fast.
Yeah. But I want to address one more issue. The NBA is coming back tonight, and LeBron James is not playing. He didn't play the game before the All-Star game. He played the All-Star game, and now he's not playing tonight against the Warriors.
A rest game?
Yeah. Battling an ankle injury. All right, I know he's 38, 39. I'm not going to go at LeBron. My issue is with that DICK writer, Nick Wrong, justifying saying, he didn't play the game before the All-Star break, and I think he probably was going to skip the All-Star break, but then he realized, this is just him speculating. LeBron didn't say this. He realized the entertainment value, the fans the All-Star games for the fans, and he didn't want to disappoint the fans this and the fans that. I call bullshit. If he wants to entertain the fans, why didn't he ever get in the dunk contest?
That's true.
If he's about the fans, why didn't he make sure he'd be ready to go to Golden State and play tonight? Because those fans want to see a good game, Steph versus LeBron.
Yep.
That's not going to happen now, right? LeBron don't care about no fans. He gets people thrown out of the stands.
And that's the truth. To throw fans out.
Needs to stop slobbing all over LeBron and get realistic.
Yo, what's the deal with Nick Wright when it comes to that? Him and even Shannon Sharp, man, those two kind of like just have this thing for LeBron, man. They'll go to the grave. They'll fight in tooth and nail over him.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak for those guys.
Just looking at what they're doing, you just kind of scratch their head, like, bro.
Because me personally, people might think, growing up in the Chicago area, being a Bulls fans, I'm gonna say Jordan's the GOAT. I won't even say Jordan's the GOAT because my stance is you rank Jordan, Wilt, and Kareem 1 through 3, however you want to. I'm not going to argue it. But I will argue that Jordan's better than LeBron because Jordan's top 3, 4 through 10 through 20, 30, whatever. Now we can debate. But top 3, I don't even think is debatable.
Now you have people out there that have LeBron and Jordan as just those two. And it's almost like they automatically go to LeBron and then Jordan's always going to be there. And for the people who tell you that LeBron isn't much of anything, they're still making the comparison to Michael Jordan and not the comparison to anyone else. So it leads me to believe, just looking on the outside, just thinking that, hey, if he's not that great, why every time there's a comparison, you go straight to the top? You don't see any Kobe comparisons. You don't see even any Bill Russell comparisons. You don't see any other comparisons, even the Magic Johnson comparison. It's always straight to the guy who's supposed to be at the top, which is Michael Jordan. If Michael Jordan, the number one guy, LeBron's always being compared to him, not to anyone else. And it makes you believe that, okay, the reason why you do that and skip everyone else, because those two are comparable. They are 1A, 1B in some people's opinion, if not a lot of people's opinion.
I take Kobe. LeBron, okay, facts are LeBron's a more well-rounded player than Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Game 7, who's going to take LeBron over Kobe? I can't even say in the Game 7, Jordan, he didn't get to too many Game 7s. And definitely not in the
Game 7?
Not in the finals.
Oh, not in the finals.
I said not too many. But Jordan and Kobe were killers, man.
Oh, absolutely. No question.
And you look at their stats at the end of the game. They say Jordan has 32, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. But when did that steal come? It came in the last minute of the game when
they needed it.
Other teams trying to tie the score. Same thing with Kobe. He'll come from the blind side, get a block shot, with under 10 seconds left or whatever the case may be. It's not that they couldn't get those numbers. It's when they when they made their impact. And LeBron has come up too small in big moments.
Well, got no argument there. Got no argument there. He has. And then I know, what was it, last year, and they were talking about how he just trucked over Steph Curry, trying to get the foul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, different. And he's a pass first player though. To be as good as he is and score as much as he has, he's a pass first player. But then on the other hand, I'm listening to Kevin Garnett just last week talking about how, man, these guys rest all the time, man. They should play for 25 years, 20 years. It's no big deal. They're not playing all the time. Because he was talking about when he played, man, the guys that he played against, and by the time they got to the final, he said everyone is hurt. No one's 100%. They're just grinding it out in the championship game to get that title.
Well, I saw a stat that Jordan played 82 game seasons. He has more 82 game seasons than LeBron, KD, Curry, and like 4 of the guys combined.
I can see that. I can see
There
that.
was no load management in Michael's time. There was no load management in Michael's time. They went hard all the time.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, look at John Stockton, man. Come on. That dude's like the iron horse of basketball. I mean, come on, man. But hey, I don't know. I don't even like making the comparison between the two. I mean, you do it out of, trying to have fun with it. But come on, some people take it a little too serious, and then they get to the name call and this and that. Then they start coming with things that are just outrageous and don't even make sense because their emotions are so far into it, man. But well, the NBA is coming back tonight, so now you get that separation between the contenders and the pretenders that you hear every year. But now we're going to finally see those teams that really have it. What's going to happen in Milwaukee now that Doc Rivers is there, specializing in defense, which they really need badly? Are they going to finally catch on to what he's teaching and carry it through to where they need to carry it through into the playoffs? Because so far it looks like the Celtics are going to be the number 1 seed on the East.
It looks like it, unless they have a total collapse. But I think
the way that team is designed, I don't see that collapse.
Yeah, other than injuries, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, injuries, man. Look at those Knicks just got a mass unit just came. Hopefully everyone's back now for the second half of the season and things look good because they did have a nice team. And Jalen Brunson, man, he hasn't been getting his props, man. But this dude's he's a flat out dog, man. He's a legit star player.
Did you catch Giannis's comments though?
No.
He's trying to give the keys to the Bucks to Damian. He's saying this is Damian Lillard's team. So I don't know if Damian Lillard's been deferring to him or not being as aggressive as Giannis thinks he should be or needs to be. So we'll see if Damian comes out with a concerted effort to be more aggressive.
And defensively, though, that's where the issue is because both can be aggressive and continue to score those points.
I don't know if he's going to play defense.
Bro, but that's basketball, not just offensive basketball. I mean, we got the Carmelo school of just playing basketball on only offense matters. That's what it seems, man. But yeah, man.
Damian Lillard is always in the All-Star games.
Exactly. And now we got college basketball we can finally start talking about now because, hell, next week is when March begins. So now March Madness, about a week into March, is going to start, these in-season tournaments. These conference tournaments are going to start up and start setting the picture or setting the stage for the final now 68 teams. So we'll get a chance to do that. But anyway, he's biased. I'm Trav.
Wait. Well, one quick question, man. Why can't people just take their L's, man?
What do you mean?
Nebraska beat Indiana. And at halftime, but it was going to the half, and the crowd booed because the Hoosiers were down 20 to a volleyball school, right?
A volleyball school.
So anyway, I go to Facebook, and I'm a Purdue fan, so I'm gonna take a jab. I said, "Wow, are you crowd not happy with the Hoosiers? They're down 20 to that volleyball school from Lincoln, Nebraska." And then
women's volleyball.
And then someone comes on and is like, good game versus Ohio State Sunday. Hold on. Okay. That was Sunday, but what about tonight, bro? So I told him, man, your team has 14 losses. You're trying to come at me? Shut the fuck up. Come on, man. Take your L's, bro.
What has happened with Indiana basketball?
Someone posted about Ohio State losing, and it was kind of sort of directed at me. I'd be like, yeah, they lost. All right. Man up. I take my L. What can I say? I don't know. I just don't get it, man.
Yeah, but what's been going on with Indiana basketball, man? That's a prideful state when it comes to basketball.
Oh, he gave me all kind of excuses. They had 2 guys go to the NBA and blah, blah, blah. Oh, they're the only school that loses players to the NBA? Come on, man.
You're supposed to do that playing in Indiana.
How many schools out there have one and dones every year? Fuck out of here.
Well, we'll get a chance definitely to talk some college basketball next week because, well, what's going on in the NFL, even though we're talking free agency starting next month and the combine starting next week and all these things that's going to lead up into the draft, well, college basketball is still going to take center stage because nothing else like March Madness trying to come to a championship for college basketball for the 2023/24 season. He's biased. I'm Trav, and we'll get back with the Sports Back Bros podcast on Monday. We hope to have a whole lot to get into. The NBA starting back up tonight, so definitely a little bit more NBA talk.
We'll have some recapping to do.
Some recapping and a little bit of baseball if you want to talk about. I don't know, but hey, we'll do something like that.
Jerry Reinsdorf.
Peace.
Deuces.